This is Katie, co-host of Coffee with Keith and Katie. Thanks for listening to the following broadcast on Public House Media.
This is Ryan Pierce, host of Completely Serious here on Public House Media. Thanks for listening to the following broadcast on Public House Media. Once you're done with this episode, I hope you'll come check out my show, Completely Serious, where we talk about sports and have fun with great guests. Don't forget to subscribe on iTunes so you'll never miss an episode of Completely Serious. Thanks again for checking out the following broadcast on Public House Media.
Welcome to Beauties and Headcanons, where we're nerdy and you probably are too. This is Emily, and I'm here today with Elisabeth, and we're here to talk nerdy to you with all the comic book and geek-related movies and TV series and Netflix series and all this who knows it's coming out. There's a lot of characters that get more exposure because some are more popular than others, and some just kind of steal the spotlight. There are still some, though, that hang out in the shadows of printed media or in the background of a movie or a show that we think should be featured front and center themselves. So that is what we're going to talk about today.
Now, before we do begin, I just wanted to give a quick shout out to Squadcast, who is sponsoring this episode. As podcasters who all live in different states and a lot of times different time zones, one of the most important things when we record is the quality of our audio together, since we all record remotely. Current solutions like Skype, which we have used in the past, and Zoom are more dependent on internet quality. And Squadcast is just a simple browser-based tool that requires no additional software to install. The audio is just recorded locally as a high-quality WAV file, and then it's uploaded to the guest computer once you're done. We've been using them for a few weeks now, and we absolutely love the experience. If you want to get started, you can go to squadcast.fm for your 14-day free trial. That's squadcast.fm for free 14-day trial.
So the first one that I want to bring up is River Song. So from Doctor Who. I really would love, and we've talked about this before, probably in like multiple episodes. I'm pretty sure we even mentioned last week that I would love to see a show or a movie or maybe even like read River Song's diary or something like that and just understand the Doctor Who timeline from her perspective. I'd also love to know like what it was like for her growing up, because she was taken from Amy when she was young, like right after she was born, and raised to kill the Doctor, essentially. And after that, she actually went on and became this doctor of archaeology and amazingness. So I really want to know like how that came together. I think it would be really, really awesome to just kind of follow her life.
Yeah, kind of like as a companion series to the Doctor series.
Yes.
I haven't gotten so far into Doctor Who so that she has been introduced yet, but I mean, obviously, since I'm a spoiler hound, I kind of go around and stuff and look into stuff. So, like, I know a little bit about her, and I think, I think there's quite a few characters that would be really neat to see the Doctor Who series from their perspective, but River's probably, like, the one I probably most want to see, just because she is so tied to the Doctor.
Yeah, exactly. And so during Matt Smith's tenure as the Doctor, we see, not only do we see River a lot during that time, but we also see a couple glimpses into River's life when she was younger, like when she was a kid or when she was like born. And but whenever she and the Doctor get together during Matt Smith's tenure as the Doctor, they always whip out their diaries and they're like figuring out, okay, so has this happened yet? Has this happened yet? Wait, what do you, so they don't want to give each other's like futures away, but they also want to make sure that they're, talking at the same pace.
Same page, yeah.
Right. Exactly. So it's cool to see them do that. And I want to see that happen from River's side of things.
Ooh, that would be really, really interesting. Now you've got me wanting more because I mean, you know how much I love backstories and different perspectives. So
exactly,
I want this.
Yeah, I think it would be great. It could probably even make a really good book if somebody were to do that, because
or a comic book,
right? Like a comic book, or even like River Song's diary, because it's a feature, it's a thing, like in the show. So if that were to be the book, that would be really cool, I think.
I think so too.
It would be awesome.
Oh, yeah. Well, one of my characters has not really been featured in a whole lot of media. He was briefly in the original animated series, but otherwise he's pretty much relegated to comics, and that is Omega Red. And if like nobody else has heard of him, I am not surprised because
I haven't.
he very briefly made an appearance in the original X-Men cartoon, that aired in the early 90s, which I highly recommend watching because it's a really excellent cartoon. But he kind of made his appearance in there, and otherwise, like I said, he's pretty much just in the comics. He was basically the Soviet answer to Captain America. He was a mutant. He had like this regenerative power and obviously, super strong and stuff like that. But they did these certain experiments on him that was just this excruciating process. They ended up like implanting these tentacles, these like special metal tentacles in his arm that he can control, and he can actually use them to like wrap around and drain the life force of an opponent. Like, I mean, if he actually needs to use that, otherwise because he's like super strong and everything. But in the animated series, he has the best entrance ever. He was found like frozen, similar to Captain America, because the Soviets realized they couldn't control him, so they froze him. And so they stumble upon him and they wake him up because, they don't actually realize who he is or what he is. And he's woken up after being frozen after so long. And the first thing he does is he just flexes and is like, well, the leaders were weak. Just no gasping, no attempt to get his bearings, just immediate monologuing. And I'm like,
wow,
I like this guy. He's just so cool. And I know, like, when it comes to X-Men villains, usually the biggest one that comes up is Magneto. And rightly so, because Magneto is really cool. But Omega Red really deserves a chance to shine in a movie if they can get it right. Or maybe if they have, like, a TV or a Netflix series or something like that, he can make an appearance in that. I think that would really showcase him very well.
I could see that. I mean, obviously, since I said I had no idea about Omega Red, I think it would be really cool because most movies are named after the hero. You hear like Iron Man, Captain America. So I think it would be cool to have one like called Omega Red and then have it be about Omega Red, but then also like have the heroes that we're familiar with in it with him.
Yeah. And I mean, I know they're doing this whole Venom movie, although I'm not really sure how to feel about it because supposedly has nothing to do with Spider-Man, even though that's pretty much the entirety of his character in the comics, but I'm not going to get into that. But
right.
Like I think like along that same, vein, you could like show his origin because his exact origin has kind of changed a little bit and kind of, like just been adapted and evolved over time. So I think it would be really neat to kind of just come at it from a fresher perspective as to who like he really was before he became Omega Red and then, how he became Omega Red. I think that would be really cool to kind of see that and see, exactly how out of control he was and what point he had to reach before the Soviet government was like, okay, you know what? This is enough. We are going to freeze him.
Right. Yeah. Because like what would have been that final straw that made them do that? And how do they actually end up actually capturing him finally?
Exactly. I think that would be really cool because, I mean, his story pretty much just picks up, at least in the animated series, after he's been frozen. So, like, seeing up to that point, I think would be really interesting.
Yeah, that would be really cool. Okay, so talking about backstory, I love backstory. We've already established this in multiple episodes, and you do too, Elisabeth. So I think it would be amazing to see or read or hear a Minerva McGonagall backstory something. Like I'd love to know like what goes into the making of such a like, I don't know, ironclad woman. She's just so awesome. Yeah. And like I want to know like it almost like the making of Minerva McGonagall kind of thing. Yeah. Like where did she come from and how did the events in her life bring her to who she is? And I know that there's the content on Pottermore. So if you haven't read that yet, I skimmed it I will be honest, I did not read the whole thing, but there's a part that is just really heart-wrenching. And so if you don't know what those details are, go ahead and check it out on Pottermore, written by J.K. Rowling. But I would love to see how that plays out and how it affects her and how everything just kind of falls together and becomes who she is when we meet her in Harry Potter.
Yeah. Like, that's one aspect. Like, I haven't been on Pottermore very much. I was, like, a while ago. And so I do remember reading that, and I was just like that was about at the point where I was just, like, done. It's like, okay, it's like everybody is getting a tragic backstory, and it's like, not everybody needs such a tragic backstory. We can have characters, as part of this universe that doesn't have just, this, backstory that like punches us right in the feels,
I know, like leave some of our feels.
we have enough. I am sure between Harry Potter and Severus Snape and
Neville,
Lupin, and I mean, even Voldemort himself. I mean, we don't need any more.
Oh, but like if you haven't read her content from Pottermore, go ahead and give that a check out. I don't want to like spoil it if you haven't, so go on ahead and take a peek. But I found it interesting, like at least her early life and the little bits and pieces I got from that. And so I think it would be so cool to just have like a McGonagall movie to see, I mean, obviously Maggie Smith wouldn't be in the whole movie, but she could be in it at the end.
Yeah.
So that'd be great. I love, she's just fantastic.
Oh, yeah. Ooh, what if Emma Thompson was young McGonagall?
Whoa. That could be really cool. I could see that. Whoa.
I just blew your mind.
That would be crazy. That would be like Harry Potter Inception.
Yes.
And then like McGonagall would get to Hogwarts and see Hermione and be like, what? What? That would be crazy.
No, not Emma Watson. No, Emma Thompson.
And Emma Thompson. Oh, I am not thinking of the right one. Emma Thompson.
Yeah, she.
I'm gonna have to look her up.
She actually was in Harry Potter.
Okay.
She was Sybil Trelawney.
Oh, okay. I knew the name was familiar, and I was like, "Oh, Emma Watson," because Harry Potter. No, yeah. Okay, she was Trelawney. Yes. I can see that. Actually, I really could.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Like Emma wears like all kinds of like weird stuff in some of her roles, but like if you take a look at her like outside of all of that, like I don't know, she kind of strikes me as a young McGonagall.
I could see that. Yeah. That could be good. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, since we're talking about tragic backstories, I think this is a good segue for my beloved next character, who is Martian Manhunter, also known as Jean Jones. He is a Martian, as his name kind of suggests, and he is the last remaining member of his entire race. I know he has made like some small appearances on Smallville and Supergirl, but I think he deserves a lot more attention. I know writers love to harp on, Batman has lost his parents and Superman has lost like everyone but his cousin, but Jean Jones has literally nobody left. He is the single survivor of his entire race. And unlike Superman, who was like, a baby, so he didn't like actively remember much or even like see his own planet's destruction, Jean remembers and witnessed everything, including his wife and children that he lost. So,
oh man.
Yeah, like he is the last one. But despite that, he is a super cool character. He is so awesome. His powers are really cool because, like, obviously as a Martian, he looks, different than a human.
Uh-huh.
But he can shapeshift, and so, like, sometimes he'll, like, shapeshift into a human so he can just, like, mingle and he won't be, like, recognized as different. He can also fly, and he can turn intangible, like, vision, as well as read minds, and just tons of other really cool things you check out in the comics, or even the Justice League Unlimited cartoon, which is really, really cool. It actually, like, showcases him, like, a lot better. But
nice.
I think it would be really cool just to see him in some media of his own. Not a DC movie, because the DC movies are hit and miss. And,
yeah.
I mean, let's be honest, they're mostly miss. But what I think would be really cool is to see, like, a Justice League style, like, series, like either Netflix or, like, another streaming site, take on a series, kind of like, they're doing with, like, the Defenders and Iron Fist and Luke Cage and all that.
Yeah.
And kind of be able to showcase some of like the lesser known and lesser shown members of the Justice League, because I mean, people all know about like Superman and Wonder Woman and Batman and Flash and Cyborg and
Right.
Aquaman. Those are usually the ones that are showcased, but the Justice League is huge. There are tons of members of the Justice League, and doing a show like that, I think could really help introduce some of the lesser characters that are still really cool, like Martian Manhunter, like Vixen and Captain Atom and Wildcat, Red Tornado, The Question, Huntress. There's so, I mean, that's not even scratching the surface of all of the members of the Justice League, but it would just be really cool to have a whole series, kind of like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., where it's like, they're, in that universe and they're doing things, and, obviously, like, there's some, bigger names in that universe, but, like, they kind of keep to themselves. And it would be really cool to, like, maybe Batman or Superman, like, pops in once in a while, but otherwise they're kind of just contained into themselves and taking care of other threats that, like the big members, don't have time to, kind of involve themselves in, because, I don't know, they're fighting Darkseid or, something like that.
But so I wanted to ask, though, because there is a Netflix show called Legends of Tomorrow with DC superheroes, and I don't know specifically which ones are involved in that, but it's another companion show to like Arrow and Supergirl and The Flash. So I don't know which ones are all in it, though. That's the thing. And I don't know why it's called Legends of Tomorrow necessarily, because I haven't watched it myself. But I know that some of the same heroes that you see in like Arrow and The Flash, you'll see in Legends of Tomorrow. But I don't think those ones are considered Justice League, are they?
I've not heard of it. So not from what I'm seeing. I'm just going through the IMDb, and so far, like, I see John Constantine. He's not in the Justice League, but he has like interacted with them. But yeah, other than like Wally West, I am not really seeing like a whole lot of characters that would be in there. And I'm just giving it like a cursory glance. but yeah, like the same idea kind of applies, though, is just, kind of lesser known members of the Justice League, just, ones that we don't see, because, I mean, they were showcased fairly well, I think, at least in the Justice League Unlimited cartoon. I know I keep talking about it, but it's seriously really great. Like, everybody needs to go check it out. Like, a lot of the animated stuff really showcases the characters well. They kind of, even the playing field between the bigger characters and then like the lesser known characters. And, they really introduce a lot of storylines and plot development and character development for all of them in a way that people can just watch it and, get to know them and then identify with them and like them, And that's all I really want. I want people to like the characters that I like, because they're just awesome. They deserve all the love. Especially Martian Manhunter, seeing as he has nothing.
Exactly. And how else are people going to love him unless they know about him? So speaking of side characters that don't get a lot of spotlight, I would love to see a showcase, some kind of maybe a movie, a backstory about Shepherd Book from Firefly. Like straight up, that would be amazing.
Especially like his pre-Firefly days. Like,
yes, exactly. That's all I want. I want to know where he was coming from. Like, we already know that he's mysterious from Firefly because, like, he's wearing the whole pastor garb and stuff like that, and so we can assume that he's some kind of preacher, and he calls himself Shepherd Book, so that's apparently in the Firefly world, that's his deal. But like then all of a sudden he like in one episode starts fighting people, like he knows exactly what he's doing. And how in the world would a pastor learn to fight like that unless he had something in his life either before he became a pastor or during his time as a pastor or whatever, like that caused him to do that? Or is he even really who he says he is? Maybe he's somebody completely different and just went into complete survival mode, and that's what he did, like
I mean, his mysterious powers is hinted at like so many times, and we're given like so many hints as to who he could be or what he might be, or at least was at some point in time. But during the series and the movie, like nothing is ever put into concrete words. And I mean, I know there's a comic series. I haven't had a chance to read it, but even then, I don't think it really goes much into his background. It's more of like, you know, in the canon world of it. And I just, we want answers, you know? I mean, Joss Whedon teased all these, you know, little delectable details, not just for Shepard, but probably like the most mysterious ones for Shepard. But like he all these little details about all these characters, and, you know, obviously we just, you know, we didn't get them. And it's like, we still want answers, though. We still
Joss Whedon, give us the answers.
Yeah.
Please. Like, obviously, Ron Glass can't play Shepard Book anymore.
Yeah.
Sad face.
Yeah.
But
if they went with like a young one, then they wouldn't necessarily need the older Ron Glass to portray him.
No, exactly. We could find somebody who, you know, could fit the role and fill the shoes and do a younger Shepard Book. And I think that would be really, really, really awesome.
What about Chadwick Boseman?
Chadwick Boseman might
Black
do
Panther.
Yeah, he might do really well. Actually,
yes.
I was thought of him, or maybe what's his name? I can't remember.
Michael B. Jordan.
No, he was the villain, right?
Yeah, he's Eric Killmonger.
That's right. Yeah, he was Killmonger. No, shoot, who am I thinking of?
I'm not sure. Are you thinking of the guy that plays Falcon? Anthony Mackie?
No, it's
Idris Elba?
No, not him.
I was about to say
Donald
like,
Glover.
Whenever there is like, especially like a black man character, like come to cast, like everybody is like Idris Elba, Idris Elba, and I'm like, okay, I like him, but that's too much. Like, he can't be in everything. Come on,
he can't be in everything. No, he is an excellent actor, but he cannot be in everything. I'm sorry. No. I remember. No, Donald Glover.
Right. He would do really good, I think. Because he kind of has like that shady kind of thing going on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I don't know.
I think that would be really good.
Got some ideas. Joss Whedon, maybe you have the story in your brain. I don't know. No, I think it would be great. But for a hilarious one, for a hilarious side story, I would love to see something with Jane from Firefly.
Oh yeah.
Because like his character, first of all, is just, I love it. He's just, you know, the sort of dim-witted grunt from Firefly in the group. But then like, I think it would just be great to see him doing what he did before he was on the Firefly.
Because like it's kind of almost weird, like how he like just how he came to be with that crew. Like he seems to clash a lot with most of the crew, and it's like,
he totally does.
Come on, like,
yeah.
were they just so desperate for manpower, I guess?
Well, no, it was in that episode, which episode? Out of Gas, I think, where Mal almost dies on Serenity trying to fix it, and then he gets shafted by this other ship that was what were they doing? A salvage kind of like, you know, scraping off the leftovers, and they shafted him and basically left him to die. But he was just basically reminiscing throughout that whole episode about how all of the crew came to join Serenity.
Oh yeah, that's right. I can't.
Yeah,
it's been so long since I've seen it. I can't remember everything. But it's
they
just seem to be so like opposite of everybody.
It is though. So the way that Jane came to be on Serenity was Mal was doing a job with Zoe and Wash. I think it was them and Kaylee, I think, were the only ones they had, and they were doing a job. And then there was these three guys that they were trying to like get the loot from or something like that, and Jane was one of them. And so
and
one guy
threatened them, and then Jane It's like, why would you keep on somebody like that in your crew, though? Like, why wouldn't you just cut him loose?
I don't know. I mean, Jane is basically only loyal to money as much as he can be, but he also does have a certain amount of loyalty to Mal, unless the money's too good. He even says that himself. Yeah,
so it's just weird that Mal would keep him on. Like, you know, knowing the very risky things that they do and how much they're wanted, it's like, you know, once the reward for Serenity gets too high, it's like, you know, ooh.
Yeah.
You got to watch out for Jane.
Exactly. Well, and Mal knows that, I'm sure, too, because he confronts him. But like, I want to know what Jane thought about like the whole war and the resistance and that sort of thing, and like, or whether he just kind of was oblivious to it and didn't care, or if he like took one side or the other.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it would just be really funny because he's like portrayed as such a dim-witted guy that there could be a lot of humor in there.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Okay, so just for our quick little nerd news, I found this out. They are making a live-action Avatar: The Last Airbender. And before everybody goes crazy and shunning this thing, which I know when
we all understand why.
Yes, I initially was like, oh, no, I don't want anything more to hear anything more about it. But the original creators and writers who made Avatar: The Last Airbender, the cartoon, are on board with making this. So
that's a good thing.
I hope it's a good thing. I'm gonna have to see when it comes out. But
so wait, is this a series or
yes,
is this
a
movie?
A series.
Okay.
So I'm not sure exactly when it's going to be released, but keep your eyes peeled because I'm slightly cautiously optimistic for it, considering who is behind it.
Yes, exactly. Same here. So is this a Netflix thing, or is it going to be released on a network or something like that? Do we know?
It is Netflix.
Oh, it is. Yep, it is a Netflix.
It is Netflix.
All right, so this is a Netflix thing.
Yes.
That's awesome. I'm really excited. And I'm also curious how they're going to be doing like the animals.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we have seen like some like, little, I think they're production, like pre-production shots or like, concept art. So it's kind of interesting, but I'm just really curious exactly also as to the storylines that they're going to follow. Like, is it going to be like, like after the whole Avatar: The Last Airbender, or are they basically going to be doing like
the between years?
Yeah, kind of like the comics
between Airbender and Korra.
Yeah, kind of like the comics did. Or
I don't know.
They're going to try to retell some of the stories in the series. I don't know. I'm kind of curious.
We'll find out.
I guess we'll find out. And also, the PS4 game Spider-Man has finally dropped, and gamers around the world are thrilled. I don't have a PS4, so I haven't been playing, but I have been watching a lot of the playthroughs on YouTube, and it looks amazing. It definitely looks like something I want to invest in, should I ever get a PS4. So if you guys have a PS4, definitely look into getting Spider-Man because it looks like a great game. A lot of the elements kind of looks like they're taking a page from the Batman Arkham games, which is kind of understandable since it kind of set the bar as to how superhero games are. But it doesn't look like an exact copy and paste. Like, it looks like they did, enough of their own kind of thing, so it's not like basically playing the same thing. So definitely check that out if you guys have a PS4. It looks like it's really worth the money.
I know a lot of people who have played it and they love it. One of my husband's acquaintances is a Twitch streamer, and so if he's streaming, he's probably playing Spider-Man. It looks so fun, like super fun.
It does.
You get to play as MJ for a little bit.
Yeah. Like that's one of the things that like I kind of regret about not having a PS4, although I don't totally regret not having it because I get to have awesome Skyrim mods on my Xbox One that I can't have on PS4 because of Sony's stupid policy about assets and stuff like that. But I mean, like, this kind of motivates me to kind of want get a used or refurbished one in the future, and just for this game. Well, that one and the God of War game, because it's so good.
Well, my husband's been curious about a lot of PS4 games lately, so I don't know. We'll see.
Oh, and also is some very sad news in the gaming world. Telltale is shutting its doors. You may know Telltale Games from the Batman series that it's done. That's probably one of the most popular. It's also done Guardians of the Galaxy and The Walking Dead and even Game of Thrones. And they were actually slotted to do a Stranger Things game, but unfortunately they are shutting down. They are retaining about 25, skeleton crew of about 25 right now, just so they can fulfill some of their contracts. But unfortunately, they're shutting down and no more really cool games anymore.
No more really cool games ever.
No.
Sad face.
I really liked it. I know, a lot of people were like, oh, well, it's basically the same thing. You're just pressing buttons and stuff. But games like Telltale was really more about the writing and the story. And like the things they did, even with Batman's parents, I won't spoil it for anybody who hasn't played it, but the way that they portrayed his parents and, his whole backstory, really, it just... At first, it was kind of jarring to see it that way, but like the more you think about it, it's like, that really makes more sense. And I just really love their unique way of approaching that. It's honestly got my favorite version of Penguin, my favorite version of Bane, one of my favorite versions of Catwoman, and one of my favorite portrayals of the Joker. So, I mean, if you guys haven't checked them out, feel free to go check them out. They are really cool games, but unfortunately... it just seems to be whenever I really start to get invested, like in a company, they go under, and I'm like, no.
Why must you do this? Oh,
well, at least I'm pretty sure that Bethesda won't be going under anytime soon.
Yeah.
Hopefully, fingers crossed. Knock on wood.
Yeah, right. All right, awesome. So that's all for our nerd news this week, yeah?
Yeah, so why don't you talk nerdy to us? What are some characters that you think should have their own movie or TV series, and why is that? You can find Beauties and Headcanons on Facebook, Twitter, and Tumblr to share your nerdy topic suggestions. Also, subscribe to this podcast and others from Public House Media on iTunes, Spreaker, Spotify, and wherever good podcasts are found. We also love feedback, so if you like this episode, or even if you didn't, please give us a rating and a review so we can keep making great episodes for you. I'm Elizabeth.
And I'm Emily. And thanks for getting nerdy with us on Beauties and Headcanons.
A ranger station.
I'd like to report a bear hug.
Okay.
I put out my campfire and Smokey Bear hugged me.
So you drowned the fire, you stirred it, drowned it again, and felt that it was cold?
Uh-huh.
Yep, he's just letting you know you did good.
Bear hug from Smokey Bear. Status update.
I'm gonna let you go now. There are many ways to start a fire, but one sure way to put it out. Learn how you can do your part at SmokeyBear.com.
Sponsored by the U.S. Forest Service Ad Council and your state forester.